What's happening, everybody? How's everybody doing today? So, we're going to be talking some Bad Batch, episode 6 Tribe. And there was some good parts and some not so good parts in this episode. And we're going to discuss that. And we're gonna break down a little bit of the things that we liked and disliked about this episode. But before we get to that, gotta drop that intro.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Last we will reveal ourselves.
I have a bad feeling about this.
You are now tuned into LightSaber Radio. If you only knew the power of gods.
Here it comes.
Let's go.
You are now tuned into LightSaber Radio. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello there.
So what's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing today? We got a Star Wars team leader in the chat. We got Chris in the chat, Infected in the chat. What's going on, guys? How's everybody doing? How was everybody's day?
I'm just glad to be home.
Garrison, your fucking microphone is muted.
My computer was glitching out there for a second.
You're still glitching out. Holy shit, Batman.
Yeah, you're
I
like,
can't even see you. I can see
Am
the
I
cow
really?
more than you.
yeah, you're like all fucking grainy and weird looking or
Like
something.
the cow
You
has
are
better
so
picture than you.
It's the orange. It's the inmate shirt.
Yeah, so
That's true.
today's episode was a
Well, in
little
person it's red, so
Oh.
Wow.
today's episode was a little bit special. And I think
dude,
it
today's
was
episode was not that bad.
I didn't-
What?
I didn't like it.
We're in a parallel universe.
I
Garrison,
really
We're
didn't
talking
about an
like
episode?
How do you, okay, hold on real quick before he gets into I didn't like this. How did you not like it? There was the force being used. There was a fucking lightsaber. Come on, bro. Everything you enjoy was in that. The lightsaber and the
They
force.
were fucking talking to trees, man. Like, what the fuck is going on? I say, what the hell, man? I feel like I'm back in Boulder or something. Like, what the fuck is
Yeah,
going
that's true.
on?
A little bit I was like, wait, are we watching Avatar?
Like, Jesus, like, what the fuck? Like, I like the fact that, you know what I'm saying, we had Gungi, or however you say his name, Grungy, and we had the lightsaber. But I swear I like seen the same episode about 15 times already. You know what I'm saying? It was the same episode and they were talking to trees. I was like, what the fuck? Why are they talking to trees? Like, oh God, man, it's Tree Huggerville.
What
Like,
other episode were you seeing people talk to trees? Were we watching the same series?
No, I'm
yeah,
not
they
talking
were-
about talking
they
to
were
trees.
talking
I'm
to
just
trees.
talking about the fucking Bad Batch show up. Omega wants to rescue somebody. They take somebody somewhere, they help them out, and then it's over. We've seen this episode 5 times. You know what I'm saying? At least
Oh.
5 times.
Kyle,
From
that's
last
the Bad
season, I
Batch.
just got done watching last season. We got the one where they show up to help Hera. Basically, they show up, rescue Hera. You know what I'm saying? You got the fucking, and who is it? It's Omega wanting to fucking help somebody. Then we got fucking, what other episode? There's like 3 or 4 more episodes that are exactly the same. Like, there was nothing new about this episode whatsoever.
Oh,
It was fun. Don't get me wrong. It was a fun episode. It was enjoyable to watch and everything. There was some action in there and everything. You know, it just was the same story. Like, they just like, all right, they gave everybody like a certain amount of stories that they have to write. And then like this, whoever this person is writing this one, just wrote everyone exactly the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're just going to write the same story with different characters.
that's like the Bad Batch, though. I feel like the first season was like that too. That's why I think the show should end at the end of season 2. The show is very repetitive. It's the same thing every fucking episode.
Well, Solitary
But-
Clone was different. You know what I'm saying? That was a different episode, but that's why it was probably the best episode of this season.
That's what I mean.
Because-
Like, unless they're following like something with Crosshair, other than that, like, what's the Bad Batch gonna do? The whole
They're going to
point of
go
the show
rescue
is-
somebody. They're
Yeah,
going to help
exactly.
somebody. It's
They're
like,
the
dude,
fucking
this.
A-Team. Like, it's Star Wars version of the A-Team. I don't know. It's the same shit every episode.
And especially, it kind of disappointing. You had 2 all right episodes. Then we got Solitary Clone, which was really good. And then we done got 3 filler episodes that just are fucking pointless. There's like nothing to do with the storyline. Like the fuck, like some Trandoshans and some fucking in the Empire. So the Trandoshans is working for the Empire. They enslaving everybody. Like we already know all this shit. We already know that that all this shit happens. Like, tell us something we didn't know. You know, give us a story that we don't know about. Give us something different. Like Solitary Clone, that shit was different. I mean, we knew that fucking the Empire's taking over fucking planets and they're fucking doing racketeering and all kind of fucked up shit. But it showed us a different side. You know, it showed us something different. You know what I'm saying? Like, these motherfuckers still using drones and shit. Like, we thought all the fucking droids and shit was shut down. What the fuck is going on? Like, blah. It's exciting. That's what made it good. But just telling us the same story over and over again with different characters is basically, you're like, what the fuck?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, like what's going on? You know what I'm saying? It just, not that the episode, like, I enjoyed watching it. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not like I hated the fucking episode or anything like that. I enjoyed watching it. It was like the last two episodes. They were just fun to watch. They kind of made you feel like a kid, and you know what I'm saying? It was just fun. But it was nothing that was any good. It wasn't
Right.
something that I'm gonna fucking be like, oh my god, like Solitary Clone was. Solitary Clone was like, holy shit, that was fucking dope. Even the fucking part that you don't like, Garrison, where he shot off the fucking mirrors. I thought that shit was awesome as shit. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah, I didn't. But
it just
for
wasn't.
Me, it's like, I just think that's the Bad Batch. Like, that's what I was expecting coming into the second season, anyways. I didn't like after the end of the first season. I really don't see what else the Bad Batch could possibly be, other than them rescuing random people. Like, I just don't see anything else. Like, that's just what the Bad Batch is. And so, like, my problem isn't with this episode. My problem is just with the Bad Batch in general. Like, the whole formula for the show is just what it is. So that's why I wasn't too disappointed with this episode, because like my hopes weren't high to begin with. I just think that's what the Bad Batch is.
Well, I was kind of hoping that we was gonna get. I didn't think they was gonna do 3 filler episodes right in a row.
But they're about to drop 2 episodes back to back, and their title names are very storyline driven. So I see what they're doing with the multiple people, the multiple, character bring ups and all these things. I actually do see a lot more story coming on forward. I just think, they didn't.
So they're dropping 2 episodes next week.
Mm-hmm.
One is, let's see, I just had it. One is named Truth and Consequence. And then the other one was, I'll have to go back and try and see if I can find it again.
Chris said, I find myself asking what is the point of this season so far. They really haven't been a huge plot point yet. And
Exactly.
actually, the one with Fee, I thought that was going to be a plot point. Like, it was going to turn into some fucking, they traveling the fucking galaxy, going places that nobody else going and figuring some shit out. And I'm okay with that. Like, I would have been okay with that. Like, some Indiana Jones, Star Wars, mix across shit.
No.
I would have been okay with that. You
No,
fucking
no.
finding shit, I would have been okay with that. But just randomly rescuing fucking everybody, it's like, dude, what the fuck? Y'all gonna get killed. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gonna fuck around and get killed. Y'all ain't that fucking, y'all dope, but ain't nobody that dope. Your fucking luck's gonna run out.
So
I just don't see a future for the show in general. Like, other than this, like, there's not much direction to go with this show.
Well,
You either kill them off and end the show, or you give them a happily ever after and end the show. I don't see this being a sustainable show without it getting old.
Well, I kind of agree, but at the same time disagree. Chris, he said, I find myself asking what's the point of the season so far. There really hasn't been a huge plot point yet. There hasn't been. You can also take those as sub stories of, okay, well, it's getting to this point, but here's kind of just normal everyday Bad Batch. They're not always these huge, heroes and amazing people who just come in and blow things up and, all of that cool stuff. But at the same point, it is kind of giving Omega and everybody a chance to character develop before we see Clone Conspiracy. Clone Conspiracy is the next episode. Right after Clone Conspiracy is going to be Truth or Consequences.
Yeah.
And those are the 2 episodes for next week. And it's going to be, I think it's going to be a lot bigger than what the past couple episodes have been.
Well, they better do something because I agree with Chris. This shit is getting kind of
I'm tired of
dull.
this shit.
Like I don't even like. I'm like excited to watch it because it's Star Wars, but it's not giving me anything that's making it super interesting. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, Dr. Skywalker? We got Bodhi's in the house. What's going on, y'all? I don't know. It's
And also, Star Wars team leader, he's like, really did seem like it was setting up for her being force sensitive. It kind of did, but also at the same point, like she was more of, I don't know if it's the force sensitive on your end was her, you know, doing the talking to the trees thing. I think that might have been just a not entertaining, but trying to engage with another culture and learn a little bit about a different culture, because she is a sweetheart like that. So it might have been that, or you know, it could open up to her being force sensitive, even though I don't know how that would work because she's a clone of Jango and Jango wasn't.
But we don't know how she was cloned. We don't know what she was cloned with.
yeah.
All they say is that she is Omega and Boba Fett is Alpha, but we don't know if Omega has been altered in any way, shape, or form. All we know is that she was not age increased. That's the only difference that we know that she has. They have not given us any other line.
And she's a female.
And that she's a female. Other than that, that's all we know about her. They say she is direct blood from Jango, but the Kaminoans were and still kind of are well known for secrets.
Okay, so I'm sorry, this is gonna go a little bit gross for a second, but what immediately just popped into my head is we don't know why Omega was created and Omega the way she is when there was Boba Fett. What if the Kaminoans wanted to know what would happen if clones mated?
Why? They're fucking kids right
It's
now.
an
Why?
experiment. That's a great
I'm
point.
not saying like right now, but like they could have like grown up and the Kaminoans could have been like, no, you're gonna stay here. It didn't end up happening, and then the whole plan was to see the experiment.
That's a theory.
Like, I mean, it's cool.
What, a
I
super
don't know
Jango
where,
at that
like-
point? Because they're both the same. Okay, so when you mate with a family member, what tends to happen?
Yeah, look at most of the royal family.
My point exactly. So when you mate with a family member,
But they're
look at
not
Alabama.
mating with a family member. They're mating with themselves. Technically.
So therefore, there isn't.
I don't know
any
if it makes it
terrible
much
things to
better.
pass off. There's nothing terrible to pass off to each other because they have the exact same genes.
Not necessarily.
Thank you.
There's
That's
still
just
could be
altogether
shit passed
that
off.
like I think we should get off this conversation.
Ding,
'cause
ding,
that's
ding,
just-
ding,
that-
ding, 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 ding,
Please
ding,
do.
ding.
Because it's just one of my
Fuck.
random thoughts that happen, and I
That's
don't
just
expect
that
it to, like,
just
turn
that
into a
just disturbed
conversation.
me. That just made me not like the Bad Batch even more.
Way to go.
Well, there is a point I did want to bring up. I think the reason we're hating this show is like
You guys?
TV has changed. You know, does that make sense? Like,
don't
think
get
about
it.
like earlier TV shows before like streaming services were big. Earlier TV shows were very much like it was the same thing every day. Or it was the same episode, just a different. Like, think of detective shows. It's literally the same overall premise, just different circumstances. So I feel like we've gotten really used to like streaming services where we can binge watch one entire storyline, where now that this is more of like a TV formula show, we're getting bored with it. So maybe it's just because we've gotten so used to like the streaming binge watching that we don't like the show
No.
as much.
Well,
Just
it's
to give
not
it the
even
benefit of the
I
doubt.
think it's
Like-
I think it's more the fact that everything Star Wars, for the most part, that we've gotten has had the high speed chases, the explosions every other 5 seconds, the droids coming in and destroying things, and like there's a lot of adrenaline that happens throughout the Star Wars universe. So when we're watching this new couple episodes of Bad Batch, like this new season of Bad, then it's a lot slower because there isn't a whole lot going on with the Bad Batch after Order 66.
Well, I think one of the things is because we got when we watched Andor was like a soap opera. It was like watching freaking Days of Our Lives or something. The story led right back into the next thing the next week. This is just random shit happening. You know what I'm saying? It's like random. Find this guy.
Do
Go
we
over
not
here.
remember season 1 through
Random
3
shit.
of Clone Wars?
I just
Yeah, I was
watched-
gonna say that. Clone
I
Wars
just
was
got
basically
done.
the
It's
same
just
way.
it's just random shit. So it's like without no direct story, like they haven't really gave us a plot of what the fuck is going on yet. Like I know we're supposed to sit back and we're supposed to assume that the plot is taken off of the Empire's after them, their rogue clones, and that's not happening. Like if that was happening, if like Crosshair was chasing them down like last season, and you know what I'm saying, even though we was getting the filler episodes of them doing that shit, we knew that these episodes was coming. We have no idea what the hell is happening. Like what's his face didn't even know that they were alive. You know what I'm saying? They didn't know like this shit is it's just random episodes coming up, and there's like no plot. There's like we don't know what's like the Empire's not after them. You know what I'm saying? At this point, the Empire thinks they're dead, other than what's his face, and he killed the only clone that knew that they were alive. You know what I'm saying? That knew that it was them. What Rampart killed him. So it's like they're not even getting chased by the Empire. So it's like, dude, what is the point? What is the point of this? What are y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? Y'all not running from anybody. You're basically just hired help.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I don't. Where else is the show gonna go?
Like hopefully these next 2 episodes, and I think it was Infected said earlier, or Chris, somebody said earlier in the chat that these is very high stake fucking names for this. So like y'all better come with some plot at this point, because right now you're just giving us episodes, which I don't, like I said, they're fun. They're fun to watch. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm like, oh, this is a fucking one. This is terrible. It's not. It's fun to watch, but there's just no real story involved in it yet. They're just fun episodes. They're just, it's kind of like back in season 1 of Clone Wars, where it was just fun episodes, but there was really no, wasn't really nothing going on. Like, there wasn't no real plot to them. Like, it was just fun episodes to watch. But that's also why people didn't like the first 3, seasons of the Clone Wars, because it was just repetitive shit. They're fighting in a war. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Anakin Skywalker. Oh, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh, Ahsoka. You know what I'm saying? But there wasn't no real in-depth shit going on. And then season 4 hit, or I'll say in season 3 is when it started getting better. Then they started putting a plot, you know what I'm saying? Okay, this is what's happening in between these times. And it made it more interesting. And then they had some arcs, and then they brought Maul back, and then, you had all these different stuff going on, and it made it interesting. Right now, these are just standalone shows. It's like reading a trilogy of books, and the middle book makes no fucking sense because it doesn't fit with the other part of the trilogy. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what we're getting.
However, my last defense of the series is it is a kid's show.
Yeah. So it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, I'm not expecting much going on plot-wise.
I think it's just really hard to follow something like Andor.
Wait, Andor?
Yeah.
Oh, follow it. I get
Yeah, to follow it. Because Andor was so story-driven and rich in content. You know what I'm saying? And it was like a soap opera. You couldn't wait to see what was going to happen in the next episode because it was a continuation of the last episode.
These are just completely different shows, completely different audiences as well.
So it's kind of hard to follow that as a fan, and you're like excited because you want to see that continuation, and then they don't really continue. Now they just go into the next story, and it's really each one of the episodes is good by the fact of that it's its own story. That makes it fun, but when you're really looking at it as like you want it to be more like a linear story, and it's not that. Each one of them is like its own individual story. So it's kind of like going back to the Old Republic books. If you go back to the Old Republic books, like you have Revan and you have Deceived, all of the Old Republic books, well, most of the Old Republic books are standalone books. They don't coincide with each other. They don't even follow each other in a path. So you have to realize that this is a standalone story. It doesn't really follow. It's like you go to Deceived, which is the next book out of the Old Republic trilogy after Revan. in the timeline, and they don't even talk about Revan. Revan or nobody in Revan is even in this book. It's 240 years later, or 220 years later. So Revan and them is non-existent anymore. So the only like main character that's like almost in every one of the books at some point is talked about or brought up or is Yoda. That's just because he's old as shit. You know, at this point he was young, and then you know what I'm saying? But I mean, not even like in Revan and them, because it's like they're like, 3,000, BBY, in the 3,000s. But these books are standalones. But the stories are great. They're fun to listen to and they're fun to be a part of. But they're standalone. They're not meant to be. There's no real linear to them. They just lead up to where the books go into a linear saying. After Bane, they kind of get more linear, but before that, they're really not. There's not too many like books that go from one book to the next book and they have the same characters until you get kind of like the Bane. Well, I guess there is a few other books, but there's not a lot of them. After Bane, then it starts going into like more of a linear. Even if it's different authors, they kind of follow the routine to go down, from Bane to, this character to this character, to Plagueis to, to Palpatine to all the way to the new shit in the Legacies books. Linear, yeah, that's what I was saying. Shut up, linear. Yeah. But, and I think that's kind of what we're getting here. We're kind of getting to this point of, that we got to remember this. It's a kid's show. It's standalone. It's like back in the day when we watched the Smurfs. The Smurfs didn't take off from the last episode. It was a whole nother thing, a new problem. Yeah, Gargamel's doing some new shit. You know what I'm saying? Gargamel's coming after him with a whole new thing. And that's kind of like, and I guess we're even kind of spoiled because even in Rebels followed like a storyline. You know what I'm saying? We knew that it was leading up to something. And it just doesn't feel like Bad Batch is leading up to anything. Like, I don't know if they're going to die. I don't know if they're going to survive. I don't know. No, is the Empire after them? Are they not after them? I don't know what's going on.
Well, if we look back at, I'll indulge your hatred for Book of Boba Fett here for a second. In Book of Boba Fett, we had those couple episodes where we weren't, it entirely was not about Boba. It was about Mando and getting Mando over and what's happening with Grogu. And there was 2 episodes of that. And then the next episode, it was the huge fight scene. So I am trying to look at this amongst the other shows that have come out, the new seasons or shows or whatever, looking at the new ones and say, okay, so here is what they did in this last episode or this last series. Here's what they're doing in this series. There's similarities here that with not only with names like the 2 next episodes are going to have, that based off of Boba Fett, it's gonna have that kind of everything coming to a head. There's gonna be that fight scene. There's gonna be something there, and or else it also wouldn't be the mid-season release that like it is. They would have probably had a couple more episodes for that. So
see, I don't know if we will have a Boba thing.
And Infected is correct. Like, Andor was for adults. Bad Batch is a spin-off of Clone Wars, which was made for children. As much as I love my kids and as much as they surprise me sometimes with their attention to detail and how well they can remember things sometimes, most of them probably aren't going to remember what happened last episode in order to follow up with the next episode. So these 2 last episodes, my kids like them.
And that's what they're good for. They're good for the fun. But they're not good when it comes to storyline and plot. They're just good old-fashioned get up Saturday morning, watch some cartoons, and type thing. Which kind of irritates me because I'm like, why couldn't they put this on like at a better time? Like, they come out Saturday morning.
It does kind of follow the plot a little bit. Like, it does give you a little bit of a plot anyway, because now we get to see, Gungi came out and he was found to survive Order 66. So we now know that the Wookiee survived. So that means that not only Grogu, but there was other younglings that survived. So
we know that there's a lot of younglings that survived. There was a lot of Jedi.
And the cool part about that him surviving is that we could either see his story progress, and we could see him in later on, where we could see where Luke has sought out other Jedis or possible Force users, and we could have a Wookiee Force user kind of deal, where we could get this whole ordeal where Chewie knows Gungi and knows that he's some weird old Wookiee or something stupid,
God.
It would be cool. And I'm going to combat this kid shit because I'm tired of hearing it at the same point. Star Wars is just for the fans. Doesn't matter the age, doesn't matter what it is. I think it's for everybody. We say it all the time. Cartoon
The
or not,
original
I think
intention. I think Disney changed that.
No, I think we need to stop looking at it kids and adults. I don't care what it is. I'll watch Andor with my 3-year-old. I'll watch Bad Batch with my 3-year-old. I don't care. Star Wars is for the fans that love Star Wars. And I loved this episode, and I loved the last two. Did they have a storyline? No. But neither did the first 3 seasons of fucking Clone Wars until the end of season 3. We just hopped around the galaxy. And as a 25-year-old man, I can go back and watch 1 through 3. Yeah, they do drag on a little bit because I know what's coming up at the end of season 3, and I always get excited for the end of season 3, but I also still enjoy watching it. Same thing with Bad Batch. I don't care. As long as they keep giving us Star Wars, giving us new products, giving us new things to watch and talk about, I'm game for it. I don't care age bracket.
Better than man than I.
And to pass on to that, younger generation of Star Wars fans, where I became a fan through my mom. So CJ, it was through his grandpa, and a lot of other fans out there have similar stories where it wasn't, they were just kind of, oh, well, this seems like space pirates, I'm gonna go check it out. Like, there's somebody who was with them who had the interest of it, so they kind of bonded over that same interest. And I was kind of going along the same lines, as much as there is a kids whatever, and then there's an adult. Sometimes it's just okay to have an episode where it's fun and you get to enjoy the fun. Like,
yeah, I agree with that all the way up, but there shouldn't be 3 in a row. Like, give us some plot, some type of plot.
There was only 2.
No, it's the last 3 episodes being filler episodes. There's been no real plot.
Oh yeah, it has been the last 3.
I wouldn't call them fillers though. I think they're
just kid shows. It's just a completely different market. They're making the show for a completely different audience. Infected
said, I think we might see him in Ahsoka, and I think we might be the main reason we saw him now. That's a long time by the time Ahsoka. You got to remember, Ahsoka's during the same time as Mandalorian. That's a long time. I think at this point, he probably dead. Vader probably killed him or somebody else.
And J-Dog, I feel like this goes with the main story, because the Empire might hear about the commotion that occurred on Kashyyyk. They absolutely 100% know at this point that, this happened on Kashyyyk. It's going to happen in other worlds. We're going to have a full-on rebellion here. Enter, episode, or the first movie where Luke comes in and just fucks everything up.
Star Wars team leader said we could see him as a pelt later on. Yeah, they did say that a couple times in the episode. Whether you agree or not, there is definitely a target demographic, regardless if it is you care about that or not. And there is, and Disney has to make money. Disney's not going to do anything unless they're making money.
Yeah,
that's just that's the point.
Yeah, but, while I agree, Star Wars originally was meant to kind of appeal to everyone, I don't think Disney is doing it that same way. You guys like Bad Batch and Clone Wars, you can enjoy the kid shows, and I'm glad you do. And I can sometimes too, but it's not the same. Does that make sense?
I think when it really comes down to it, you got to understand that as a parent, when your kid comes to you and says they want Disney Plus so they can watch Bad Batch, and you got a 10-year-old kid, what do? You fucking pay for Disney Plus to get that so they can watch that episode. But at the same time, I wouldn't let my 9-year-old watch Andor. The first episode, I'd be like, nope, you ain't watching this shit. This dude just got shot in the face. Even though they didn't show it, it's not really a kid show. It's set more for adults. So right there kind of shows you that there is a demographic that they're pointing to. Just like there's no different than Warner Brothers. You know, Warner Brothers had, you know, Saturday morning cartoons came on Warner Brothers, that Bugs Bunny and all that shit for years. And then you had, you know what I'm saying, CSI or whatever else came on that channel, Dallas, and, you know what I'm saying, that were adult shows. That's the weird thing about with streaming services, I think that is
Right.
kind of weird, is now streaming services, like, there was a certain time frame. Now
Yeah,
you
what-
can just get at anything. You know, you had
Exactly.
prime time that was adult, and then you had early morning that was more for kids. And it just kind of getting a little cross setup because now they don't have that with streaming services. It comes out this time and everybody gets it at the exact same time, and it's, you know what I'm saying, it's
I
set
think-
up for that.
Right. And I think Disney
and-
needs to be careful though, because I feel like soon a lot of the adult demographic might get tired of the kids' story. I know that's not the case for everybody, but I feel like some adults might get kind of tired of the kid show. So they might need to start limiting how much crossover they have with like Bad Batch versus Andor and Mandalorian and stuff. You know what I mean? They might need to start keeping them a little bit more separate and not have so many intertwining characters, because it's going to make the adults feel like they need to watch all the kid shows, but they're going to start losing interest in those kid shows. Does that make sense? Like,
But
it's just
at the
hard because they're trying to balance both, and they're making different shows for both, but the crossovers I could see might cause some potential difficulties with that.
But at the same time, I mean, you can look at the kids shows as the introductories. So you're gonna watch,
Yeah.
you're gonna watch the Clone Wars, and as a kid, you're gonna know what happens, but you're not going to, you know all of the nitty gritty. You know, Maul gets sliced in half. You're not gonna
Right.
know kind of all of that, or you're gonna know it, but you're not gonna be able to see it. And then when you grow up a little bit, you can kind of merge the two and be like, oh, okay, so I grew up watching Clone Wars, so I know what's happening in these movies, but what happened in these movies that, you know, caused the Clone Wars to kind of happen? Because, like, I can't remember who it was, but somebody did say that, you know, George, like, that was the whole thing, was it was for 12-year-olds. So there was that want to bring in, you know, the kids to the universe and all of that. And Kyle, too, I actually looked it up to bring back to the comment about Ahsoka. Wookiees live to be about 400. That's their standard lifespan.
Not
So
when Vader's coming to kill you.
Yeah, that would.
that's valid. That's valid.
You'd be living like a good maybe 100 years if you get lucky.
I mean, it's possible, but I just don't see that happening. There was a reason that they pushed for the fact of that there was only a certain amount of people left that were Jedis or stuff like that. Most of them, I say if we do see them, we might see them in Skeleton Crew just because it's around the same time. He gets caught up with the kids, and then we might be able to see him in that as a live action. But I don't think that they're going to push it all the way out to, you know, you figuring it's 23 years later. Not that he can't live that long, but the whole point is, and we know Kashyyyk was basically strip mined and all the
It was
So-
strip mined until the end of the war when the Wookiees returned.
Yeah, so it wasn't.
So-
It was.
they
Han
were all
Solo-
enslaved.
Han-
You know, they enslaved
and
most
then-
of the Empire
then
did.
Han
It was strip
and-
mined, and so I have a feeling that as we look at how Gungi's actions is, he's quick to pull out that lightsaber and go to action. If they trade,
gonna get
if they
killed.
came there, if the Empire comes there and he's gonna, you know, they're gonna find out that a Jedi is there and Vader or the Inquisitors is coming. I don't think Gungi lasts all the way to Ahsoka.
I mean, Chewie. So when we meet Chewie, or when, you know, we meet the youngest version of Chewie in Solo, he stated to Han that he was 190 years old. So that kind of basically at the point of the, you know, Rise of Skywalker and all of that, guesstimate 234, 235 at that point. Because he
Nah,
was
he'll be older
almost
than that.
because he was almost 200 years when he first met Han, and then, you know, a couple years after all of that, that's when we meet Han with Han and Leia and everything. So
Yeah, it was probably about 10 years after that.
yeah,
You get
and
New
then
Hope, then you got 20 years after that for that. Then you got about another 20, 25 years before.
oh, yeah, fair. So about
So, I mean, not to saying that he couldn't live
75,
that long.
but that's
It'll be sad when he goes.
Well,
yeah.
I'm just
But,
saying
like,
Grungy's
but
behavior, like he's
that's-
pretty
Yeah, his
reckless.
behavior.
yeah,
He's
but
gonna
so
get
was
himself killed.
so was Chewie though. Chewie was always
But
kind
Chewie's
of
not a
wasn't a
Jedi.
Jedi.
When you got
Chewie's not a
Vader.
Jedi.
I know,
Yeah,
but
they're seeking out Jedis.
he was still wanted by Vader. He was still included in the
Not
whole
not the
thing.
same way. And by that point, the rebellion was a lot stronger. There was a lot more thing. Right now, the Jedis are being hunted, and he's a Padawan. He's just a young Jedi. You know, even you give him 10 years from now, Inquisitor shows up. He's not going to be able to handle himself against the fucking Temple Guard or Vader. You know, he's going to get killed. You know, it's just I don't see him lasting that long, especially when you got the entire Empire right now is basically just trying to eliminate the Jedi. And it's just like kind of like the Mace Windu coming back thing. You know, like, oh, yeah, it would be cool to see Mace Windu again. But at the same time, it would be kind of stupid just because they kind of put it out that there's no Jedis left. You know, when they brought out Luke, and then we get Ahsoka. Okay, Ahsoka kind of is not a Jedi no more. She doesn't follow that path. She kind of stays to herself, and she helps with the
good point.
rebellion, and she's not really fucking out there like that until it comes to that point. And then Vader almost kills her, and she almost kills Vader. But it was kind of a difference. We know
That's
Grogu
a
got
good
away.
point.
But Grogu's a little kid, and you know you had people watching him, and they was moving him around a lot and stuff. Gungi basically showed up on Kashyyyk. He's staying there to help his people, and when the Empire comes to strip mine and enslave the Wookiees, pretty sure he's going to
That's
run out
true.
there and try to stop
you
them.
can, and you can only use the whole like, oh, somehow this Jedi survived for so long. Like, if you keep adding more and more Jedi that just happen to survive Order 66, it's gonna really
diminish Order 66.
Yeah, it's going
Yeah.
to diminish Order 66. It's going to make Luke a lot less significant. It's, I don't know. To
But,
Kyle's
I mean,
point,
at
it's
the same
kind of about
time,
time they
though-
start changing that up. Like, how about
Yeah.
we move to a different timeline?
But
How
at
about we
the
talk
same-
about something else?
At the same point, so Infected actually said, I agree at this time he's fast to whip out his saber, but now that he's with his own people, and if anyone could learn discipline, it's going to be a Jedi. Especially how the Wookiees
'cause
on
Luke
Kashyyyk
definitely
are all,
learned
especially
discipline.
because the Wookiees on Kashyyyk, like you saw it with the Elder, how she did kind of not push off, but you know, the religion, and kind of teach even the Bad Batch a little bit about it. You know, they're talking to the trees. They think the trees, you know, the trees run this planet. We have to communicate with them. Like you can tell that there is a patience and a almost hippie-esque thing to the Wookiees. So if he is on Kashyyyk with these Wookiees, it would basically do the same thing, teaching him patience, as he would learn pretty much the same amount of patience on Kashyyyk with his own people than in the Jedi Temple.
I don't know. I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't see it happening. I don't see a lot of Jedis coming into the fold. Honestly, I think Disney is pushing for more of Mandalorian type stories, Andor type stories, getting away from the Jedi and the Force. Because
Well, I just hope that they do, because the more Jedis you start bringing in and saying survive,
it takes away from the story.
exactly,
Well,
the more you're
especially
going to screw up.
especially
what
because
was
Disney's
already
not going to
there.
destroy their own story.
But
that
we
they
don't
created.
know what
What are you
Dave
talking
is
about? Yeah,
doing.
they will.
Hold on. We don't know what Dave is doing. We don't know Dave's plan. You know that the Clone Wars-esque writing style, the story, the animation, all that is all Dave. So we know Dave is either yay or naying a lot of this due to the fact that that's his shit. You know, he brought back season 7 for Clone Wars. He helped write the Siege of Mandalore. He helped write in the Bad Batch. We don't know what he's yaying or naying because 10-1, he's in charge of that project. So we don't know if Gungi comes back in later on in the episode and does die. We don't know what the plan is. I'm gonna ride it out. I'm gonna write it out and see what I don't care if they bring in 6 more. I'm just gonna see what they do with them at that point. You bring in 6 more Jedi, I hope you kill them before we get to see the rebellion start. We don't know what we're gonna do with all these Jedi. I know, like Kyle said, Ahsoka makes sense because she wasn't really a Jedi. You know, she was off doing her own thing and then joined the rebellion. That makes sense. You're not gonna really be looking for somebody that isn't showing her powers. Same thing with Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's a prime example of this. Nobody's looking for fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi. Nobody's looking for him.
Well, the thing with Ahsoka, though, too, is everybody thinks she's dead.
Well, we know by Obi-Wan that people are looking for Obi-Wan from the Obi-Wan series.
But I'm talking about when we see it, Obi-Wan in A New Hope. Nobody has looked or searched or done anything to that measure of looking for him. They all think he is dead somewhere, right? Cool. Obi-Wan's doing the same thing as Ahsoka, just laying low, just chilling out until somebody needs them. And that's what Gungi could do that, or Gungi could go in. We could see Gungi at the end of the season try to come in and fight out, and Crosshair fucking puts a bolt right between his eyes. We don't know.
I think we're more likely to see Omega in some of the like Mandalorian and Ahsoka, because they are working a lot about her character development. Lenny brought up a very good point earlier. He said, what I see with these fillers is them attempting to character development to Omega as she is showing her patterns now. LL, stop somewhere, get in trouble, do something noble. And I think that's the Bad Batch is really not about the Bad Batch. It's really about Omega and 100%. How Omega is going to show up in later characters. That's their character I mean, the whole Bad Batch is their character, but I think she's the ideal character within the story. Definitely. And I think we'll see her show up in other stuff more than we might show up with other characters that they're bringing in. I think they're just putting these stories together, these small to show more of her character development. Because if you think about it, we got, in last episode, it's all about her being excited about looking for the treasure. It's about, and then the story before that, it's about her and what she's doing. This story was about her wanting to help people. You know what I'm saying? She's the one that ran off and started fighting with the droids and found Gungi and wanted to help him. Everything's been directed about her. And I think that we'll see her in Mandalorian maybe, or Ahsoka, or like she went off and started something. She might be somebody that they're going to bring out later on as a main character in a rebellion or something like that. And we might see some of the Bad Batch later on in live action or in other animation things. But I think the real main directive is Omega. And I think Lenny was exactly right with that. I see her showing up in other stuff more than I would see Gungi. We already know about, like, I could see last season them giving like the backstory of now my brain ain't working. Of what's her face? Hera, because we know who Hera is from Rebels. So, and then they could bring Hera in. We know that the Ghost was in the battle at the end of 9, you know what I'm saying? So we see it, we know that she's there. So her character development as where she came from in the beginning, that was a story that needed to be shown. This is how she got to be a pilot. We got that story. I just don't really see a good place for Gungi to show up, but I do see a good place for Omega to show up. And this was a good story to show her development and how she's gets into trouble and then is noble.
Especially because we don't really know anything about Omega when, other than she was wanted, it was a bounty, all of that. So these episodes of these Omega episodes basically do a good job of showing Omega as a character and, get a little bit female with it, showing, you know, little girls that, hey, they can be badasses. Granted,
Well, we also
you know,
know
granted,
that
you know,
Disney-
you shouldn't be running away from, you know, the people who you're with. Don't ever run away, children. Don't do it. But
That's
but
teaching a
it
great
is-
message to kids.
right. No, but like you get to see in some these newer kind of movies and all of that it's not the typical man who's the hero all the time.
Well, we know
It
that's
is.
what Disney is pushing for anyway, for
Yeah,
more
the MCU.
for more
Yeah.
women roles, because you know that they have to stay with the wokeness. So we know that they're doing that. I mean, almost the entire
100%,
cast
yeah.
of Acolyte is women. Rogue Squadron was supposed to be majority women. We see more of in Andor, we've seen a lot of characters, a lot of women characters within that story. So we know that they're doing that. Yeah. The question is, where do they take that story? And I think that these are just small little snippets of where they're going. And I don't think that that's why I think more that it's turning out that this is about, and I agree with what Lenny said, is it's more about Omega. And we're really looking at this in the wrong light. I think we need to be looking at it more of, this is all about Omega and Omega's character and her character development. And each one of these little stories show us something different about Omega. And if we start looking at it like that, then it's going to be a little bit more interesting when the things happen. And I think the action packed and all that stuff that the Bad Batch brings actually gives us the fun part. And watching Omega's growth is what we really need to be paying attention to.
So, Infected agreed with Garrison. It's time for a new timeline. Bodhi says, facts, trust Dave, and stop using Disney as a scapegoat, perhaps. Bodhi also says, imagine, okay, this is probably 100% something Tem would do just because it's fun. Imagine they put Tem in a wig and play a grown Omega.
I don't see that happening.
I could see Tem doing it as
I could see Tem doing
I
it.
could see Tem doing it as a gag.
Yeah,
kinda
like
a
as his
playful
own
thing.
little like Instagram or TikTok video. If they do go the whole Omega Force sensitive route, it would be cool if they did go tomb raiding again and she finds a holocron and a lightsaber.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That would. Chris, would you guys ever like to see Star Wars be sold to another company that isn't afraid to go do more mature content?
Yes.
But will
sell
Disney
it.
do it?
They
No.
sell it. Oh, they'll never sell it. Are you kidding? That's the stupidest marketing decision in the world.
Well, and like I said earlier, you got to think about it. As a parent, your kid comes to you, wants Star Wars. They want to watch Disney Plus. You pay for Disney Plus. As an adult, you want to see Disney Plus because you want to see Andor and Mandalorian and the other stuff that they Wakanda Forever and everything that Disney is putting out when it comes to the adult content. So their demographic is everybody, and they have to put out content that's going to be there for everybody. And I've said it before. That's the cool thing about Star Wars, because there can be stuff that you don't like and there can be stuff that you love. And no matter what your age is, they have something for you. But I also agree with what Garrison said earlier about, sometimes I don't agree with the fact of that. I think that it should be all put together. It should all run concurrent. That's what I believe. Because, I laugh at people all the time to say they didn't ever watch Rebels because it's a kid show, and I'm like, you're missing out on so much. Look at much, you know what I'm saying? Rebels is one of my favorite Star Wars content.
And people are going to continue to miss out if they keep doing purely these
But
kind of
I think
kid
that it
shows.
needs to be done, because that's a lot of the way that kids get introduced, and they know this.
Right.
Kids get introduced to Star Wars because their parent wants to watch this cartoon because they want to know what's going on. Then the kid watches it. This is good marketing.
Right.
I mean, Disney
I'm not saying like get rid of kids shows. I'm just saying maybe
don't
limit
run the
crossover.
timelines together.
Yeah.
I know what you're
Limit
saying,
the
but I think that it's a smart strategy for them to do it. It was smart when George did it. run everything concurrent. So you got to watch the stuff so you understand what happens in between.
And that was the thing. George started Clone Wars after, like, way after fucking episode 3.
No.
And it was just because he kept hearing what happened during the Clone Wars. What happened during the Clone Wars?
Yeah,
like we get this time gap from Attack of the Clones to episode 3. What happened between all that? And then he finally got to a point where he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna just sell it. I'm done. I'm kind of done doing this."
Well, I mean, I understand why he sold it. I mean, you can't, like, you got to understand it. And at some point, we'll probably be the same one. We'll be, talking about the damn sequel trilogy is good because they'll come out with something else that we don't like. Because the prequels got shitted on, and they're some of the greatest Star Wars content ever. But when they first came out, they got shitted on by the fans. They just I mean,
shit on them, but I was also a kid.
So it's, I loved them, but I heard a lot of people, oh, that's garbage. Hayden Christensen can't act. Right. Who is this guy to play Kenobi? This dude is terrible. Blah 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 blah.
Even as a kid,
what are y'all talking about, man? That shit was awesome. But
even as a kid, I thought Hayden Christensen was awkward. Like watching Attack of the Clones and watching all that love stuff. As a kid, I looked at Hayden Christensen and cringed. But I was like, well, it's Star Wars, so there's got to be a point to this. And when episode 3 came out, I was like, oh shit, there is a point. Cool. It progressed, but the cringiness stayed in place because his love scenes with Padme, expressing his love, made me, even at 25, still makes me cringe. But it's just Hayden Christensen. It's not. It's the writing mixed with how he didn't want to show all the emotion. Like if he could have been just give us a drop more of emotion with a lot of what he's saying, it probably wouldn't be as cringy.
So how I kind of look at all of the cringiness. So yeah, watching it as, a kid, it was a little weird. Watching it as a teenager, you were like, dude, what are you doing? Like, why? Why? And then looking back at it as an adult, you're like, he was just a really awkward kid. Like he was talking to his crush. He was a teenager. Nobody, I don't care. You can say that you were extremely slick when you were a teenager, when you were a preteen. Guarantee you weren't. You were awkward. Awkward.
I was thinking the same thing, Garrison. I was like, I was smooth as shit.
I bet you go back through your memories on Facebook or Snapchat or whatever you have. You're going to look, or your MySpace. Or your MySpace. You look back at your MySpace if you had one, and it's, oh my God, why did I take that picture? Why did I do that?
Why am I making the duck clips?
Why did I think that fashion was okay? Why did I think that it was okay to talk to people this way? Like, how is that flirting? Like, so I kind of think that as an adult, you look back at Hayden Christensen and you're like, okay, that's relatable. Like, let's be honest here. But yes, George Lucas did sell to Disney. However, it wasn't because of the amount of hate that the prequels got, because he actually came out and he did an interview about it, about how he thought Disney was going and all of that, and he made a comment. He did kind of go into a small little rant about it, where he didn't sell Star Wars and Lucasfilms for all of the hate he got. He did it because he was so focused at that point on Star Wars and Star Wars and Indy, that it took up most of his time, and he wasn't free to he had thousands upon thousands of ideas in his head, and he's like, I've made some stories, I've shot some stories, you're probably never going to see them, but that's okay, those are for me, those are my ideas, that's just my vision of something I wanted to get out. And so he didn't sell Lucasfilms because, they didn't like my movies. It was, I want to focus on some of the other ideas that I have. And so he let go of his projects, his babies, basically, to say, hey, go out, do your own thing, continue.
And the other thing he stated was that he didn't get to raise his daughter.
It's a proven fact that most creative people are psychos.
Well,
because that man has said, that man, and praise George Lucas, hail to the creator of Star Wars. But at the same time, that motherfucker said, like, I've literally watched interviews with him where he says the exact opposite as he did in the last interview. You can't tell me that shit didn't hurt. His first 3 movies were brought with such love and compassion, and everybody loved him so much. He got like no backlash. Everybody said he was one of the greatest directors of all times. So he comes out with the next 3 and he gets bashed that didn't have some type of effect on him.
I'm not saying it didn't, but I'm saying at the same point though, he was a professional. Like you look at a professional and you could be like, hey, your work is garbage. And you'd be like, okay, cool. Like it kind of comes with the territory. Sometimes it does hurt a little bit more than others. But nobody really like it's you have the feelings of wanting to quit, but 9 times out of 10, somebody's going to go back to it. You're going to try and quit art school, and then you're going to end up going back to it. My aunt was a prime example. She was thinking about quitting art school, and she ended up continuing with it while she was working with a prison. My aunt's kind of a badass. But like that's you find the things that you love and you continue doing them, because you'll quit for a while, but then you're like, you know what? No, this is what brings me happy. This is what brings me joy. And George decided that what brought him joy was to continuing on with these other projects that he had in his head. And yes, people's feelings do change. So, you know, an interview at one time is going to be different than an interview at another time. And that's also just human.
Yeah, I mean,
look at Tom Brady. Tom Brady's a prime example. I'm throwing this out there because today he retired.
Yeah,
but look at last year. Look at last year. He was dead set on focusing on being a commentator and being a part of Fox Sports and like really want to do that. And then he just looked at his passion and it was like, nah, man, I think I got another year in me. I think I can do one more year. I'm going to make one good push. I'm going to try it one more time. And then today he's like, I didn't want to come out in a press conference. I didn't want to do anything. I figured I'd just send a video out and say, hey, this is my final ride. And I think I agree, because Tom Brady all year, I'm going to play for the next fucking 5 seasons if I want to. Like, he was pissed throughout the season because everybody kept telling him, you just need to retire. And that was, okay, you can,
and that's
but
the thing too.
Chris, we're Vikings fans. We would love nothing more to get a Tom Brady type quarterback, but we ain't going to get that. But not the point. It's just creators do it all the time. We see plenty of actors be like, no, I'm done. And then 2-3 years later, hey, man.
Ozzy Osbourne just announced his retirement. He ain't touring no more. I thought that motherfucker was going to die on the stage. You know what I'm saying? That motherfucker been around for 300 years. Like, how old is that dude? Like 900? Jesus Christ. You just now retiring, motherfucker.
He wasn't going to tour anymore. He just said that with his health, he was just issuing a refund on the overseas tours that's going on, and until they can find something that he can do, he's not doing tours at the moment.
What the fuck? Who wants to go see a dude that bites bats' heads off and shit? What the fuck is wrong with people? That motherfucker's nuts. Y'all fucking that's that weird
Ozzy
shit.
is a god.
He's a fucking legend. How dare you?
Ozzy ain't shit.
Bro,
that motherfucker.
He's a legend. You can appreciate his music while still knowing the guy's insane.
No, Chris, we do not want Brady.
This motherfucker, did you watch that dumbass TV show? This motherfucker can barely even talk anymore. Like, you should have been retired, you retarded motherfucker.
Like, he's not a role model. He's not a sane dude.
Yo, today is a weird ass day. We had Brady retire. We had Dr. Phil retire. And Brady and Ozzy's retiring from touring. I don't like today. I come back from fucking negative 20-degree weather to come back to 3 people retiring. I'm done. I am fucking
done. You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing. Innovation is about creativity. You know what I'm saying? And we might not agree or always like everything that comes out that's new. But that's okay, because somebody else is going to come out with something else new. And there's going to be different writers and different creators. That's the exciting thing. We don't know what's going to happen. That's what makes, I think that's truly what makes Star Wars great. Because we don't know what's going to happen. We get to have a fucking 2-hour-long conversation about shit we have no idea what the fuck they going to do. Because we don't know who's going to write the next piece or direct the next piece. We might like it. We might not. But it's coming. And we're going to enjoy it when it comes.
And going back to last Wednesday when we're like, oh, yeah, we're going to think about how Mando's going to go. Like, no, because then Garrison's going to get his hopes up. And then season 3 of Mando is not going to go how Garrison wants.
Season 3 of Mando's going to be great. Don't even put that negativity out into the
Fucking Bodie.
the
Aussie hate will not be tolerated. Thank you. It's Aussie fucking Osborne.
I don't hate Ozzy. I just think that motherfucker's weird as shit. Like, what the fuck?
Bro,
Like, I've never seen nobody with more gimmicks than
insane.
like fucking.
More gimmick. Kiss changed their whole setup like what 4 times?
Hey, how about you? We don't get into.
I don't
Kiss.
fucking like Kiss neither. That's some weird
Hey,
shit.
how
Like,
about
what the fuck you
fuck
putting
off
on
over
makeup
there?
and shit and running around with fucking like
They're
fucking.
the number one most selling artist.
I don't
For
what
5 years
Who?
in a row, they have more fucking platinum albums than any rock music. I'm not getting into this. I'm a screaming fucking Kiss fan. I know their
What
history
the
from
fuck? That's what's wrong with you right there. I figured out what's wrong with you.
You want, but that's just it. Like I know AC/DC, Def Leppard, Kiss, Motley Crue, like all these bands. I know a lot of their history, and Kiss sold because of their gimmick. Their gimmick is what sold their tickets.
Yeah, exactly.
Their
Because they
gimmick
didn't have no
sold-
fucking talent. They had to have a gimmick.
What?
It's
5
like Michael
platinum
Jackson.
albums.
It's a gimmick. You turned into a white guy. It's a gimmick. It's a fucking gimmick. It's all fucking gimmicks. You take a good ass fucking singer, he don't need no gimmick, and that motherfucker will make millions.
Okay, hold up a second. Can I just-
You don't need a
Can I-
gimmick.
can
Just
I
be good at what you do.
go
You
home.
don't need a gimmick.
No. Every
Can I-
band has a gimmick. That's what marketing is, dude.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I just address the
Biting
amount
bats'
of,
heads off and fucking painting your
comment?
fucking and looking like the fucking.
Thank you, Infected.
That shit is just
Get out,
weird.
Kyle. This was the first
Marilyn
dog
took out his
walker.
fucking weird rib so he could suck his own dick.
That
That
is
motherfucker's weird as shit.
false.
Marilyn
That's
Manson is
false.
fucking weird as fuck.
Oh my god, that was proven false.
Okay, listen.
I don't give a fuck even for that shit to come out. You was a weird. The motherfucker was weird when he was on the goddamn TV show. Little weird
The only thing
motherfucker.
Marilyn Manson has, I think that's like that's on him right now is there's been like accusations against him. I think that's the only thing. But the thing about his rib,
I fucking
did
hate
come out to be-
ICP too. Them motherfuckers is dumb as shit
Thank
too.
you. I will take that shit. I can't stand ICP. I can't. Those motherfuckers.
My little brother
can
likes
just
them
quit.
motherfuckers.
My
Like this.
middle
What the hell is this? They ain't
my-
talking about shit. Like fuck.
My
I'd rather
middle
listen to
school
the fucking
self is,
some country
like,
than that
in pain
bullshit.
right now.
She kills me with that ICP shit. We'll be driving down the road and
Oh
she'll
my
be in charge
God.
of the music. She'll put it on and I'll look at her. I'm like, you better change this shit. I ain't listening to these clown
Like
motherfuckers.
to me,
I ain't doing
honestly,
it.
you have to be talking about something that's realistic. You know what I'm saying? That's like I don't like no new rap because that shit is garbage. Because you
Thank
ain't
you.
talking
I
about
agree.
shit. I don't give a fuck that you're popping Percocet and fucking your girl, and I don't give a fuck. That's stupid. You know what I'm saying? That you're not teaching me anything. If you're not
Oh, I
teaching
see.
me something, I ain't listening to that bullshit.
Hey, to all of you SoundCloud rappers out there, if you have to talk
Give up.
and
SoundCloud's still a
rap,
thing.
right? If you have to, if you have to like rap and like make rap and make a whole fucking song about how you fucked a bitch 9 times, you didn't do it. You didn't do it. I'm getting it out there right now. If you did it, you don't have to talk about it to the rest of the world.
Well, and even Biggie. Biggie's a prime example of he had a story behind his music.
And Tupac.
Fuck Pac. All Biggie.
Oh my
I'm a
god!
Biggie
Hold
fan.
on, hold on. We just started. You got pissed when he said "fuck Kiss," and now you're saying
No,
"fuck
hold
Tupac."
on.
Like,
No.
Are you
Don't
trying
get me
to
wrong.
die,
Let
CJ?
me finish. Let me finish first.
Right?
Hold on.
All right,
I'm
we
more
gotta
of a
get.
Biggie
Hey, hold on. We done got on a tangent here. We gotta get back to Star Wars.
You gonna leave me like that?
All right, say what you gotta say, but then we gotta get back to Star Wars. We got some
I
news
like
and rumors.
Pac, don't get me wrong. Pac had his demographic in the West, and Biggie had his demographic in the East. The West wasn't as hard of living than it was in the East, though.
Shit,
It was expensive as shit to live in the East.
it was expensive as shit to live in California.
bro, do you know
In the
California? Are you
90s?
kidding me?
Hell yeah, that shit was expensive. It was expensive, and there
hold
was
on,
no
hold on.
jobs.
You were more likely to be discovered as a rapper in the West Coast than you were in the East Coast.
That's true.
That's what I'm talking about.
What are you
so many-
talking?
Really?
Oh my,
Really?
oh my God.
How many recording labels do you have in
Okay.
California than you do in New
Yeah,
York?
not back in the '90s. You had 2.
Okay. Back to the, okay, so
let's
the
get back to Star Wars.
demographics of Star Wars is varying. it's variation. Oh, Jesus, that went down down.
John Williams is better than all them motherfuckers, and he proved it, and he's still doing it at 100.
He's still doing it at 90.
That motherfucker's ancient as fuck, and he's still better than all of them motherfuckers.
Snort no ants.
Yo, he could get shot 9 times like 50 and still go out there bleeding, fucking making sure he busting the dude. Like, fuck around.
That motherfucker wrote real music. He didn't even have words in his shit, and it was better than their shit.
All of his little flinches out of pain and wrist flicks because he's in pain just makes the music better.
That motherfucker just draws lines on paper, and it'd be the greatest shit ever.
That's true. It's just lines on paper.
Okay, and we could say this right now. You can put Biggie on, and people be like, oh, look, that's Biggie. But you put Star Wars on, everybody knows that shit. Everybody.
That's true.
You take a 50-year-old dude from fucking Alabama, a 50-year-old hillbilly from Alabama. That motherfucker don't have no idea who Biggie Smalls is. He's like, who? You put on Star Wars, that motherfucker knows it's Star Wars.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like that's the true music right there. I could be walking through, like when we went to California, deadass. We went to fucking Disneyland. I could hear like rap all up and down the streets and stuff. But the second,
Nas is great. Bodie Nas is the shit. But Bodie Collection said next. Excuse me. He said next episode of the Bad Batch, Crosshair killing the Bad Batch, hit him up playing in the background.
No, like it was funny because I could hear like all this rap that I know, and the next thing you know, the second I heard Star Wars in a store, we're walking down the road and I'm dead stopped trying to figure out where the hell it's coming from. It's not. And it happens here.
We're in the middle of this store, and both of us are just dun 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 dun.
It's dumb. Like, and it's beautiful that a man can make such inspiring music to a point where it doesn't matter who you are, what ethnicity, where you're from, what country, whatever the fuck. You hear John Williams Orchestra and his whole fucking setup, and you know exactly what it is. Doesn't matter.
All right.
Back to the Bad Batch.
Okay, what do you guys rate this episode?
I really liked it.
Okay, that's not a rate, that's a comment.
I know. I'm waiting for everybody else's numbers so that
I'm going with an 8. I don't care what you people say. I'm going with an 8.
An 8?
I liked it. It gave me what I wanted. I was always curious about Gungi because we didn't really see his death. And I'm glad from the trailer, we finally got to see what that Wookiee is capable of. Yeah, I liked it. I give it an 8.
What about you, Paul?
Huh?
What about you?
What's that number?
I would say a 6.
Okay.
Oh, damn. You were bagging on it, and I was supporting it, and I'm rating it lower than you?
I think it was about a 6. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. Like I said, it was fun. I just didn't think there was no point to it. Like, y'all could have just left this shit out. You could have left the last 3 episodes out and just went right into these next 2 episodes that are hopefully a good story arc. So, you know what I'm saying? We can find out what the fuck is really going on, because I have no idea at this point.
All right, fine. I'll put it at a 6 too. I was gonna put it as a 5, but I'll put it as a 6.
I really enjoyed it.
Is it aggressively okay?
I would probably go about an 8 because I was kind of constantly okay. There was that part where like he was surrounded by the fire and that Trandoshan, and I was like, no, Gungi.
No,
Trandoshan was cool. I like the Trandoshan. I just don't understand that fucking Wookiees and fire is probably not a good combination of shit. They're all
with all that hair.
You know what I'm saying? And they just running around putting this fucking fire out
like a shaved cat. You're gonna look like a shaved cat when that fire. Okay, and what made me laugh was when Omega, the fire's spreading, and all the Wookiees aren't even worried. Like, do you not understand? Your whole body is covered in hair.
And you're on a planet that's covered in nothing but flammable shit. You know what I'm saying? Not a good combination of shit.
I love the nod to the wildland firefighters with the fire line that they built.
Yeah.
I love that nod.
I like the spider things too, because them spiders is kind of that's a little nod to Rebels and to Mando.
And You're missing
And-
something. Jedi Fallen Order. We see him in Fallen Order.
And we also
And the
see.
second I saw the cobwebs, I lost my shit. I was like, no.
I don't fuck with spiders, but it was kind of cool that they brought him in. You know what I'm saying? The little nod to him.
I just really enjoyed the giant. Okay, they didn't look like spiders to me. They were more like just giant praying mantises. Mantises.
Mantises. Just say mantis.
Anyway, and they're just
They're just so
Yeah, they're sitting there checking out that Trandoshan, and I was like, fucking eat them already.
What the hell was them fucking cat thingies that they were riding on?
I don't know,
I don't
but
know,
I
but I
need an
need
explanation. I need an explanation.
and I just need one.
That motherfucker was huge. Like, that's a big ass cat, man.
Right?
Like, that was like the giant lost cat or whatever it was.
It had like the face and like body of a cat, kind of, but it also had the body of like a gorilla with how like the back was
face
kind
of
of
a
like
lion and the tail of
and
a
the
zebra.
ears, like, right, it just had, it was a cat gorilla with big ass ears.
Cat gorilla.
All right, let's get the news and rumors.
Yes.
Everybody, did you put in your, you said 8. Okay.
Oh, team leader went, it was way too short, so 4.3 infected, 6.5 to 7. I'm sick of the filler episodes. Maybe not a 7, lol. Bodhi, I'll go 6.5 because of Garrison, but thought the fights were too generic.
Burnt dog hair smell.
So bad. It's due, though.
The sock puppet mouths.
I have plenty of news, and I want to go first this time.
All right.
All right.
Click the button.
Yeah, hit that
Are we
button.
clicking the button?
Am I going to hit it?
Sorry.
Hit the button.
I'll hit it. I got
I
it.
thought you
This
were
is
hitting.
Alton Castle for the only news you need, the HoloNet News.
So today was Hasbro Pulse Day. I didn't get to watch it because I was working, but there's a lot of news in the toy sector now. There are 12 new Funko Pops, all based off of the Return of the Jedi because we're coming up on the anniversary. If you want to go look at him, go look at Yak_face. He literally covers everything toy from Funko to Hot Toys. And I'm not going to go through all 12 of them. That would be a little tedious. They're doing a lot of collector series, Black Series toys. Like we get this saga continues with Revenge of the Jedi. It's this book. It looks like a book, but it's Darth Vader. When you open the flap, it looks amazing, very detailed. I mean, the way it lights up in the box is beautiful. We're getting a lot of Rebel troopers from Endor troopers. More Vader. You're getting more like classic Vader toys, so you can take his helmet off. You can either make him look like Vader, normal Vader, or you can make him look like fallen apart Vader after he got wrecked by Palpatine and Luke. You're getting a lot of Imperial officers. You're getting Han Solo. They did give us a Clone Wars Black Series figure that I've been waiting for, and I'm glad they finally dropped it. It's Jesse. He's the one with the Republic logo tattooed on his head. You're getting Kid Undy Mundy as a Black Series figure, which nobody asked for. Thank you, Hasbro. We're getting more troopers. Like there's a whole box of clone troopers. It's the 212th Clone Trooper Battalion. We're getting a lot of vintage gaming greats.
That was aggressive.
That was very aggressive. We're getting a lot of gaming.
That was a dad sneeze.
It was the dad sneeze. But we're getting gaming greats. We're getting Star Killer finally as a gaming greats toy. We've been getting a lot of other toys that are based off of I can't remember what was the name? I hate myself a little bit. But yeah, and then we're getting a Mando concept toy. But you know how we see the concept toys that are all colorful? We're getting a Mandalorian one. We're getting a Scout Trooper helmet finally.
A Black Series.
A Black Series helmet of a Scout Trooper. I honestly looked at Tori when I saw this and said, I'm going to buy 2 of them and we're going to make TikToks of the 2 Scout Troopers talking when they have Grogu in the bag. Just that decent conversation. Yeah. And then the pipeline's revealing about what? There's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. About 9 new toys coming out in the next couple months There's,
Jesus.
I mean, Hasbro dropped a lot of Star.
Mhm.
It was the day of Star Wars for Hasbro Pulse. So I am excited. I'm excited to collect probably almost all of these at some point in this next year.
Listen, there's like there was in the Funko collection, there was 2 different Ewoks, and there was, you know, another Darth Maul, and there was a Palpatine, and I was like, I need them. I need all of them. There was a Max Rebo.
Yeah, you can get Max Rebo. You can get the Vader Luke Skywalker fighting scene, and then they have a Palpatine in his throne. And they purposely made this Funko set to put Palpatine in the background watching Luke and Darth Vader fight.
And he has, if I remember seeing it correctly, he does have the lightning kind of coming down from his hands, and it kind of goes into the base of the Funko base.
It's amazing. I'm actually, like I said, excited.
There is also another Black Series Darth Vader from Revenge of the Jedi. However, you are not going to get it. It is a Europe Disney Celebration exclusive. But it looks super cool. It's like red and
That's what I'm talking about that you can buy in the stores.
What you got,
available
Garrison?
exclusively at Star
Well,
Wars.
they'll turn around and sell it in.
Okay.
They won't do that to the public like that.
Okay, you want me to go next?
No,
Somebody
I'm good. I was just waiting
I
for
tore
CJ to be
through.
done.
That was a terrible Hasbro
I
minute
was
for me.
waiting for CJ to be done. I have bad news.
That's what I was gonna bring up. I told you that motherfucker ain't
They're
never coming
pushing
out.
it off to
Fuck
make
you.
sure it's good. Fuck off. I know exactly where Garrison's going.
Yeah, it's still
Hey,
bad
it's go-
news. The fact that it's
It's not
delayed,
bad
that's not a
news.
good thing.
It's
Yeah,
delayed
Jedi
6
Survivor
weeks. I'm
is
not
delayed.
bitching.
6 weeks is gonna
weeks.
turn into 12 weeks. Gonna turn into 2 years. Gonna
What?
turn into it never
Whatever.
comes
So they
out.
can add more stupid platforming.
God, they just got to make sure everything fucking works properly. I'm sorry. I wouldn't want to just send it out there.
That was the
I
only
wanna make
news
sure
I
I
had.
got it.
I was looking through this shit like there ain't shit on here. Like there's no fucking really news out here today,
I
and
don't
nobody
think
gives a fuck
that's
about
how
Daisy
exactly
really
figured it
crying,
out.
thinking about dying and shit because she's not in Star Wars no
Oh,
more.
yeah,
I don't care.
really give a shit.
Mandalorian.
And then there's reports that Daphne Keen's character in the Acolyte, apparently there was a leaked talent agency list. She's supposed to be playing a character named Jackie. And while many people thought that was just like a code name, the fact that the list got taken down makes many people think that she will be playing just a character named Jackie.
Damn, Jackie.
So I don't know what that
can't control
means.
her.
Yeah, exactly. But with that said, that's the only really.
She's got. They
information
dropped something
regarding
else
that.
today too, though.
So Mando season 3 got a new poster. It's of him
On Mandalore.
on, it looks like he's on Mandalore, or Mandalore is right behind him, and he is holding the Darksaber in a super cool way. It kind of, if he was holding it a little bit higher, that would look very inappropriate, but all right. There is a thing going on. There's a lot of people talking about Mando going back to Mandalore, and a lot of people are saying that Star Wars should leave Mandalore and the Mandalorians the hell alone.
No, that's just gonna be cool. What are you
That's
talking
gonna
about?
be
I want to
amazing.
see him go back to Mandalore.
Yeah, I'd rather have
wanna
them
see
keep
what
doing
it
the
looks like.
Mandalorian thing than mess more with the timeline.
Because the last time we see Mandalore, it's during the Siege of Mandalore. And we see a little bit of stuff in Rebels, but not to an extent that we're going to see in the show. I know they're going to really dive deep into Mandalore in this. We see Mandalore to a certain aspect, but we're going to see the day of reckoning that the Empire does. 10-1, we're going to get flashbacks. We're going to have Mando pick up that helmet, and he's just going to imagine what it was like. I'm going to see those flashbacks. We're going to see Bo-Katan talk about it. I'm fucking excited. Those people need to back off. I'm ready.
However, I will say it's risky from a marketing perspective because the people who are into Mandalorians and know about Mandalorians and excited to see Mandalorians are kind of a niche in Star Wars in general. Most of their fans are just average casual viewers.
That's not.
And so
accurate.
it's really just betting on how much people like Mandalorian.
I think
Like
it'll
the
be a
show.
good. Honestly, I think it'll be it's good marketing because there's a lot of new fans because of the Mandalorian that
Right.
want to know that don't have that. They don't have the background and know. And then plus, the only thing I'm worried about is that they fuck it up and make it something that it's not, or they don't
Yeah,
follow the
that'll-
storyline
you-
that's kind of
okay.
already out there.
I'm gonna state
That'll be
this.
bad.
I'm only gonna state this once. I will call it the fuck out when I know it's wrong, especially when it comes to the Mandalorian culture.
Yeah.
The second I see something done wrong, or they said something wrong, or something's done wrong on Mandalore on the moon of Conquered Dawn, I will call it out immediately.
Because we got a lot of
No.
information.
You're one of those like Filoni worshippers, so I don't.
Not
I
if he
don't know.
fucks Mandalore up. Everything that we have learned, everything that we have studied, everything that I have read.
Who is the
I will-
writer on Mandalorian season 3?
From what I know, there's several of them. Go onto the Instagram because I posted about it. As a sidetrack while he's looking that up, to backpack off of Garrison's news, but not news, because we just all knew we were talking about it.
Directors, not
It's
writers.
still news. Fuck you.
It is.
Corey.
I'm not saying that it wasn't news.
I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you. I promise we're good.
So EA had a slump of shares about 12% when they came out and announced that that the game was going to be delayed about 6 weeks. They immediately saw shares drop about 12%.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, so the directors / writers, because when I looked up the writers, they're about the same. Bryce Dallas Howard, obviously. Peter Ramsey, Carl Weathers.
Yeah, he got like two episodes, I think.
Yes! Sorry, I didn't read this. I didn't read Carl Weathers at first. Sorry. Rachel Morrison, Rick, I can't pronounce his name, and Lee Isaac Chung. I think now that they got rid of Robert Rodriguez, I don't think we're going to have that kind of shit that we saw with Book of Boba Fett. We saw Bryce's writing, Bryce Dallas Howard's writing, and I loved every episode that she's done. I haven't had a complaint on her episodes. But I'm curious on how Carl's going to do his episodes.
I'm still
J-Dog.
hesitant.
He said, I hope they show Sabine Wren towards the end of Mando so she leads to Ahsoka. So Sabine, there's actually been a whole bunch of people that have come out and started making assumptions that Sabine was going to be in the show anyway, because if you look at the trailer, there is a female Mandalorian in garb that is kind of like standing over some bodies. Or something like that. She's standing over a body, and it had the helmet, and obviously it was worn out, but it had the helmet shape, the worn out colors of Sabine's helmet. And so people are just everybody's assuming that we are going to see a Sabine.
Which I'm okay with.
From what I'm reading on here, Jon Favreau wrote all of them. Jon Favreau was the main writer on all of season 3, and it's directed by several. Each episode is directed by several different. Each episode is directed by somebody different. But Jon Favreau wrote all of them.
I don't know. John hasn't done
He
anything
ain't
wrong.
fucked up on none of the other seasons, so I don't know why he would.
He killed it in season 1 and 2, so I don't see where he would drop
'Cause
off in season 3. This is
John wrote 5 of season. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the first one. Dave only wrote 1, and then Christopher Yost wrote 1. Season 2, John wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 8, and then Rick Flamwan or whatever, and Dave Filoni wrote 1. And then this one says, for season 3, it says the entire season is written by Jon Favreau. So if John wrote them all, I don't think, this is John's baby, so I don't think he's going to write it. I think it's going to be good.
Hey, if you
The faith y'all have in this man.
have,
Shocks me.
let's say $50 after shipping and handling, and you want to jump on Amazon, the Star Wars Black Series 40th Anniversary Legacy Pack.
I
It's
thought we were
actually
done
really
with
cool.
toys. Sorry.
The what?
It's called it's a Black Series 40th Anniversary Legacy Pack. So I don't know if you can.
It only comes with Vader.
It does, but it comes with this really cool like
So,
backdrop
if
that
you
you can put
remember-
your characters on.
If you remember when A New Hope came out, you could like get this little cardboard cutout of all the toys, and you would like fill it out. And when the toys came out by Kenner, you could go and mail it in. You can get all the toys. You can get that exact same cutout of the characters, but it comes with Vader. It's a big ass box. You're literally paying for the box
And a toy.
and like $10 of Vader.
$10 Black Series alone, or
I know there's $27 a piece.
yeah.
All right, guys. I think we're gonna wrap it up here. I don't think
Side note, Last of Us on HBO.
Is it?
I don't have HBO. I gotta get HBO.
Oh
You
my
gotta get HBO.
God, it's so good.
Kyle, if you ask super, super nicely, I might let you share my HBO.
Oh, can I borrow your HBO, please?
No!
That wasn't nice enough, damn it.
I thought that was pretty nice.
that was so like just gentle and
Don't say it on the live, dude. They'll lock down password sharing.
Yeah, they're already working on that shit on Disney Plus. There was a thing
And
on
Netflix.
the news the news and Netflix that they're talking about doing that shit. All right, guys. We're gonna wrap it up. We'll see you guys Saturday. Don't really know. We haven't discussed what we're gonna talk about, but it's gonna be something good, whatever it is. So we will see you guys then. Stay outrageous, and may the force be with you. Who's hitting the button? Am I hitting the button? You hitting the button? Who's hitting?
Somebody hit the
stay out
damn
of trouble.
button.
Thank you for tuning in to LSR. If you've enjoyed the show, consider subscribing so you can be notified when new episodes are released. If you would like to be a guest on the show or just want to give us some feedback, feel free to email us. You can also reach out to us on all major social media platforms. LightSaber Radio is produced by PicFilm Media and is a Swaycast original, starring Garrison Turcott, CJ Elliott, and Kyle McDaniel. And don't forget to join us next time for more adventures in a galaxy far, far away.
I'm gonna go back